Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I was invited to be on Messiah's Branch Prophecy Hour last night, and I recorded it, and I thought it was a real good broadcast, and I think I'm going to play it for you, but it was done on Skype, and there's some kind of a crazy sound in the background, kind of sounds like sonar or something. It's a Skype thing. Anyway, I tried to edit it out. I got it out as much as I can, so I'm just explaining. Yes, if you hear this crazy sound, yes, it is there, but it goes away in the last half of the broadcast, and I'll probably be turning this 1 hour broadcast into 2 broadcasts. I think it is that important. Now, let's go to me basically talking more about these arrests and how I believe the internal revolution has started. Remember the prophecy that the angel Gabriel gave to Dimitri Duduman. Everything starts from that. The thing that I'm going to be bringing you tonight is just how close this is. So, the angel Gabriel told Dimitri, after he had been on the electric chair twice and they couldn't kill him, he was sent to America. He came to him his first night when he arrived here, and he said, "Get beside me." And he took and showed him California, Las Vegas, New York, and Florida. He said, "Do you see what I've shown you? This is Sodom and Gomorrah. In one day it will burn." He said, "How will it burn? America is so powerful." He said, "You tell them that a fall of America will start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America. In one day, in 1 hour, so great riches will come to naught." Now, there's more, but I'll stop there. All right, the next thing is, I just put out a new video on our YouTube channel, and these are the topics I covered in it, and I'd like to cover these tonight. In July 2012, President Obama signed a presidential document, an executive order, granting the president absolute control over all U.S. media, the internet, news networks, and news websites. Now, I'm sure that he was not thinking that some Republican was going to use it. He was thinking that he was going to use it, I'm sure. But nevertheless, he's the one that signed that executive order. Then along comes December 2017. President Trump signs an executive order authorizing the arrest and the confiscation of all property of people involved in corruption or sex crimes. Just 2 things, remember that. Corruption or sex crimes. Then in March of 2018, he signed another executive order authorizing those arrested for this corruption or sex crimes to be tried in military tribunals. He said again, signed an executive order authorizing those arrested for corruption or sex crimes be tried in military tribunals. In other words, not show trials like O.J. Simpson, but a boom, boom, thank you, ma'am, and you are executed or you're put in prison for so many years or maybe the rest of your life. March 31, 2018, John Huber of Utah is appointed the federal prosecutor. This guy hires 470, quote, dogged investigators. They begin investigating this corruption and sex crimes. All of a sudden, what is normally 125 to 350 indictments at any one time spread across the 50 states of the United States, all of a sudden the indictment count starts rising, not just a little. We're talking about like 5,000 on the average new indictments a month. Now the count is up to 124,558. Now we'll come back and talk about that. I'm just giving the overview of what we're going to talk about first. Then March of 2018, it was revealed that Diego Garcia, the Atoll Islands and Gitmo Islands, prison islands, have been upgraded and expanded ever since Trump became in office. Then the arrests started. Now, we were expecting a mass roundup, but it doesn't appear that it is coming in a mass roundup. It appears that it is coming a little here, a little there. For example, again, this is just the topics. We'll get into the details in a minute. July 2019, Jeffrey Epstein arrested, sex crimes. October, more arrests. That's part of what I'm going to cover. Now, to start off, let me give you a disclaimer. No one has provided me any information from some alphabet agency. I've not got any envelopes under the door. I've not received any secret phone calls. I'm simply a pastor and a teacher of Bible prophecy. And I saw this, and I put things together, and I believe it was the Spirit of God, like giving me a revelation, helping me to see this. I put it together based upon news reports and this part of this prophecy. So let me read the prophecy. What happened was, in 2001, the angel Gabriel came to Terry Bennett, and he visited him over a period of several days, like 4 days. He would tell him what's coming, and at the same time, he would show him visions of what is coming for America. Now, it's a whole lot. Take me 30 minutes to cover just that, but I just want to show you where I discovered this arrests in the prophecies. And I believe I was the first one to reveal it, because I didn't get it from somebody. I didn't get it from Q. I didn't get it from some Patriot website. I got it from the prophecies, and this is where I saw it in the prophecies. Terry Bennett was told what the United States is going to go through. Listen carefully. This is really important. This, my brothers and sisters, according to a senator I'm about to read from, just started today. Halloween. What a wonderful day to start. The United States is going to go through a civil conflict, civil war, then invasion. I saw in the governmental arena that we'll go through dramatic change in our government. There will be a time of anarchy and chaos. For a while, we'll have a fractional government. Now, hang on, fractional government? What happened? Could that be 120 some odd thousand people were arrested? Could that also be that our president was impeached? Could it be that we no longer had any leadership in our federal government? Hang on, there's more. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means basically our government will come down to the state level. Hang on. Does that mean that the federal government basically has no more leadership? Hang on, let's keep going. The government will come down to the state level because the military will step in, having to seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, he says, but in all honesty, it will be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. I saw lawlessness, chaos, and civil unrest. He went on in another part of the prophecy, and he said the angel Gabriel told him, listen carefully, that the fall of America would be in the year 2021. Now, please quote me correctly. None of this is coming from me. I'm only quoting other people. Do not misquote me, please. Terry Bennett says that the angel Gabriel told him that America would fall in 2021. Now, I want to say that that's rubbish. I want to say that that's not going to come to pass. But with the things I'm about to tell you, I have to say, brothers and sisters, it's looking more like he could be correct. Now, what are we talking about? I believe we are now in the Jeremiah 51, verse 9 time. It is speaking about America. It says, we would have healed Babylon, that means America, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us everyone go into his own country. Meaning, right now, there is a great battle between light and darkness. There is a great battle between the Democrats and the Republicans, between the left and the right, between the Christians and the non-Christians. And right now, God is giving America her last and final chance to heal. Now, the way he does that, according to the Old Testament, is this. You remember Elijah and the prophets of Baal. Well, they couldn't figure out who God really was, so Elijah said, okay, tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I'll set up a sacrifice, you set up a sacrifice. And you call in your God, I'll call on my God, the God that answers by fire, let him be God. So as you recall, the story goes that all of the prophets of Baal, in other words, Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff, okay, if you get the parallels there, they danced around and they cut themselves till the blood came out, and they were crying for their God to answer by fire. Well, never answered. So finally, Elijah says, okay, boys, step aside. Sit down. I'll show you the real God. So he called on the real God, and not only did he answer by fire and burn up the sacrifice, but he also burned up all of the water, the 4 barrels of water he poured on the sacrifice. And then what happened, now listen carefully, this is talking about America. What happened to the 450 prophets of Baal? They took them down to the brook Kidron, and they slew them all. In other words, God cleaned out the nest at the top of Israel. God brought Israel a great deliverance. That's what God is trying to do with America right now. Now, here's the second example. You remember Samson. Okay, he's like the guy that killed 1,000 people with the jawbone of an ass. They couldn't kill this guy. Where were they? They tied him up, and all of a sudden the cords were just like ashes. They just fell off of him. They couldn't stop him. But he got tricked, and a girl tricked him into telling where his strength came from. And he says his strength came from his hair. Long story short, they cut his hair, so consequently long story short, he wound up blind, and they took him down to the temple of Baal, the Dagon, that's the fish god, and they took him down to the two pillars that held up this Dagon temple, and he pulled down those pillars and killed all of the fish god leaders. In other words, God gave Israel a great deliverance. Now, the final example. You remember Gideon. Okay, so Gideon, and he only got 300 people to fight against thousands. It said it was like they were like grasshoppers on the side of the hill. So only 300 Israelites, they put this fire inside of these clay pots, and at the right time, he said, "Sword of the Lord," and of Gideon, and they all broke their clay pots that revealed the fire. Now, what did that mean? Well, each one of those fire pots normally meant that there was like a squadron or a whole group of people for each one of those pots. And then God caused the Midianites to begin to fight each other. The Gideonites, the people of Israel, didn't have to fight at all. God gave them a great deliverance. So in the case of Elijah, God cleaned out the nest. Samson, God cleaned out the nest. Gideon, God cleaned out the nest. And right now, in the case of Donald Trump, God is trying to clean out the nest, but you watch. America won't receive it. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. So what's going to happen when all of this settles? All right, let's go now, August 17th, 2017, Sundar Selvaraj. He said, "The Lord Jesus appeared to me and said, surround the President Trump with prayer. They need to organize a governmental prayer watch. Pray," he continues, listen carefully, continues his full term. Didn't say anything about a second term. Pray he continues his full term, for that is the period of grace extended to this nation. His term should not be prematurely aborted. In other words, he should not be impeached. The Lord spoke to me about this nation. What you need is not revival. Listen carefully. That's so important. I'm going to say it again. What you need is not revival. What you need is to put your house in order. Now, let me Johnsonize that. Here's what it's saying. What you need is not to fill sports stadiums with people repenting. What you need is to arrest 125, 130,000 people, including Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and a whole nest of the people. That's what you need to do, is clean your house. That's the way we would say it. Now, he went on to say, now, when Mr. Donald Trump was elected president of the United States, the Lord spoke and said, his election is a sign that I'm giving you up to 4 years of grace. Last chance grace. 4 years to put your house in order. 4 years to get your act right. 4 years to put your life right. In other words, 4 years to get all of these people arrested and clean up your house. That's what he's really saying. He said, if you make good on these 4 years, meaning if you can keep Trump in office, and if you can arrest all of these bad guys, that's what it's saying, then you'll have many more good years to come. But if you fail in putting your house in order, the way we would say that is if you fail, if you allow your president to be impeached, and or you do not arrest the bad guys, if you do not clean your house, then these 4 years will be aborted, they will be stopped, and great tribulation, and listen to this, and great captivity will come. Great captivity will come. What does that mean? Well, that means the Russians take over, and let me tell you, if you are a conquered nation, unlike what America does to conquered nations, it's not a happy day. It's not good. Women raped, everything you own is taken, and you are a slave. Let's go on. Tell the people to pray much for the president, because there is a danger for his life and for his presidency. Heaven has determined 4 years of grace. It has been apportioned for you. If he does not complete his term, the time of grace is aborted. If the time of grace is aborted, you will go into your captivity. Now, listen to this next word. I don't like the word, but I'm just delivery boy here. When his presidency is aborted, the church in the United States will be held accountable before God. Oh, really? How can that be? We're not the world's police officer. Well, actually, we are. Revelation 18:24 says, "For in her," speaking of America, "in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth." Meaning, God is holding America up to be the world's police officer. America up to be the wall that separates the devil from destroying the Christians, the saints, the prophets, and all of the people on earth. But when we fall, and that's what he's saying, when we fall, all of the blood of all of the saints and prophets, all the people that are killed, falls upon our head. That's not good come Judgment Day. Let's go on. Before this nation is judged for his sins, God gives you one last opportunity for grace. You don't want to mess that up. You want to pray very much. I'm going to skip the next part. So essentially, what this is saying so far is apparently that there was a plan that was hatched by the military intelligence about 10 years ago. And this is a rumor, can't prove this, but reportedly, a group of military intelligence officers made a plan to remove the evil from high places in America specific, but also from around the world. The plan was to take back America from the top down rather than bottom up. They recruited Donald Trump to run for president. They said, "Will you run for president? We will help you." And President Trump reportedly said, "Well, do I report to you or do you report to me?" And they said, No. We report to you." He said, "I'll do it then." Then November 2017, this John Huber, hired to be federal prosecutor, recruits 470 dogged investigators. They start filing indictments. The indictment count now is up to 124,558. Recently, people have been getting these arrests. For example, in one case, one person was recently arrested using 9 sealed indictments. In another instance, 2 people were arrested on 1 sealed indictment. You may be saying, yeah, well, okay, so this Terry Bennett says this. You got second voice. You got anybody else to back that up? Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Pastor Massey said the Lord told him the U.S. military will come in to help Trump to take control of the public. The public will go out of order, and miracles will not be double-portion miracles, but sevenfold miracles. Now, let's go to the specific things about the setup. 7/11/2012. And if you are watching my video, if you'll go to prophecyclub.com, actually, if you go to YouTube and then go to Prophecy Club channel, then you'll see we have videos on there. This one, you can tell the videos because it has a black background with big orange letters, and it says, "Arrests have begun." Just 3 words. Arrests have begun. And this is, I'm talking tonight from the PowerPoint that I made that about a 30-minute video. And there you can actually see the documents that I'm reading from here. I'm reading this one, 7/11/2012, signed by President Obama. Headline says, "Assignment of National Security and Emergency Preparedness Communications and Functions." This is the one that allows the president to take absolute control over all U.S. media, including internet tech giants, social media, news networks, news websites, and it specifically goes on and names them. Now, of course, Obama was probably thinking that he would get to use this. And who would have known that his successor, a good guy, Donald Trump, is going to be the one. So when he declares a national emergency, when he takes over the nation, one of the things he's going to do is get rid of all that fake news. He's known it's corrupt since day one. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Now, again, if you're looking here, you would see that this is dated December 21, 2017. It's the actual copy of the executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or sex crimes or corruption. It goes on to say the United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences of those who commit serious human rights abuse or engage in corruption, blah, da, 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 da. Then skip down. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. Let's go on to the next page. This is what we want to read. This document specifically outlines the crimes of sex trafficking and corruption. Okay, they're not going after everybody. They're only going after those guilty in sex trafficking and corruption. Why? because the Khazarian mafia, the international bankers, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, they derive their power through Lucifer, and they do it by sacrificing children. I know the average Christian, it makes our teeth hurt to even think of something like that. We don't even like even talking about it. But you have to understand that when Moses was told, of course, Joshua took the children of Israel into the nations. He took them in and he told them to kill many times, man, woman, child, animal, burn the city, everything. Why? Because they had been guilty of child sacrifice. Well, how's that? Because Moloch is the cow god, and they would heat up the cow's hands, and they would put their newborn baby children up on those hands and cook them alive. And that's what the nations were doing. That's why God raised up the children of Israel to go in and kick them out. Now he's raised up Russia to go in to take America down, because guess what? We're doing exactly the same thing. Oh, really? Did you know that over 75,000 children disappear every year in America? 75,000. 75,000? By the way, I think the number is even higher than that. But anyway, let's go on. Crimes of sex trafficking and corruption. The executive order includes any foreign person determined by the Secretary of Treasury in consultation with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General to be a current or former government official or a person acting for or on, in other words, anybody. And it goes on to say, serious human rights abuse, corruption around the world constitute an unusual, extraordinary threat to national security, and I hereby declare a national emergency. Meaning, he can not only arrest these sex traffickers and these corruptions, in other words, Hillary Clinton, Adam Schiff, I hope, are at the top of the list, but he confiscates all of their wealth. Then he takes them down to the military tribunals, and they don't have a show trial. Okay, let me tell you about the military tribunal. Military tribunal can take place on a ship or any military base, or in this case, they're going to ship them off to these prison islands. And that's the reason Adam Schiff put in the last defense budget, he gave them the money and approval to put in cameras into Gitmo, and they're getting it all set up so that they can broadcast these trials on the internet. What? Why would they want the trials to be seen on the internet? I'll tell you why. Because they want to start an internal revolution. Because they know when Hillary Clinton, now, though we may not like her, you have to understand she almost beat Trump. There's a lot of people that really love her and her husband and that whole nest of corrupt people. A lot of people really love them. Can you imagine Hillary Clinton being arrested and her brother, her husband, Bill, put on trial, and then can you imagine the gavel comes down and says execution? And it may not. It may just say some kind of prison, or maybe they aren't even arrested. And let me just say, I don't know that they're going to be arrested. But can you imagine what would happen in America when something like that happens, not just to one, but to time after time after time? Military tribunals can try up to 4 to 5 cases per hour, and it can try large groups of people that are guilty of pretty much the same crime all at the same time. Meaning, let's say we got, I would say 20,000 people, all guilty of the same kind of sex crime, like, say, Jeffrey Epstein did. Well, they just try them all. I mean, it just takes like 30 minutes to an hour to try them. Boom, you're all guilty. And they're off. And I don't know what kind of, but try to imagine, well, what if 10,000 people are executed? I mean, this is a Nuremberg-type trial. That's what we're looking at here. That's what's about to happen. That's what the setup is ready to do that. And let's go on to the next one. March 1, 2018, Executive Order number 13825. Go check it out. It says 2018 amendments of the Marshal for Courts Martial. 2018 amendments to the Manual for Court Martial, United States, allowing persons committing illegal sex acts or corruption to be tried, listen to this, by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. What's that? That's a military tribunal. No O.J. Simpson show trial. It's no, I want my Miranda rights. It's none of this. I want my attorney, and then 2 or 3 years of trial, and then all of the, no. They're tried, boom, the gavel comes down, and sentence carried out. Goes on to say this document established the government's right to prosecute crimes of sex trafficking and corruption against America in, here it is, military tribunals under existing U.S. law. This would allow corrupt individuals and groups to be arrested by the military trial and military trials, bypassing the current corrupt public court system, filled with corrupt judges. Look, this is in the executive order. I didn't write this. I'm reading from the executive order. It appears to me that President Trump, now this is my opinion, it appears to me that President Trump signed an executive order giving him permission to try people under the UCMJ, meaning they can take them off to Gitmo, Diego Garcia, and the atoll prison islands and disappear in the night, never to be heard from again. As you recall, during the Kavanaugh hearings, Lindsey Graham had a 10-minute segment in which he asked a series of 10 specifically worded questions of, at that time, the potential Supreme Court judge of Judge Kavanaugh. And he says, is it true? And every one of the questions was, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we arrest people? Can we do this? Can we military tribunals? Every time, Kavanaugh's answer was, yes, Senator, yes, Senator, yes, Senator, yes, Senator, meaning he was asking confirmation, is all of what they plan to do legal? I'm going to interrupt the broadcast right there. I've got good news. We are going to offer the Sevenfold Miracle Crusade next year, April 8th through the 12th in 2020. Find out more about it by going to sevenfoldmiraclecrusades.com. 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 The easiest way to listen and watch Prophecy Club YouTube videos is to download our free app from the App Store. This is not to be confused with WatchProphecyClub.com, where you can watch 26 years and over 300 DVDs for a subscription of $20 a month or $200 a year. The app allows you to watch our YouTube videos and listen to our radio programs very easily. Go check it out at your App Store. First of all, I want to give all glory to God. Yes, I memorized the book of Revelation. But I'm not smart enough to memorize the book of Revelation. It was Jesus that gave me the inspiration, the motivation, and the brain to be able to remember it. And it was him that showed me all of these revelations, and to him be all the glory. I got about 30 revelations and 2 visions. God showed me the word first fruits is actually a secret door linking the feast of Leviticus to the prophecies of Revelation, allowing the end-time events to be placed in chronological order as never before. One prophetic word said it this way: there is a lock that I have put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open unto you. It will turn many books written on the end time into obsolete books. That's this book. In this book, for the first time, you will understand that on first fruits, Jesus, the Lamb, returns to Mount Zion with 144,000 one-year-old Jews. On Pentecost, the wheat who are ready go to the marriage supper of the Lamb with the barley. The Father promotes Jesus at the marriage supper from Lamb to Lion, from Prince to King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Jesus receives many crowns, a vesture dipped in his own sacrifice blood, and a white horse. The barley and wheat receive a wedding garment, and a white horse to return on trumpets about 4 months later. This is the day of the Lord. Jesus, the judge, uses the morning star, lightning sword to burn the tares. This is the judgment seat of Christ. All in Jesus report here and receive their just rewards. On atonement, Jesus is the judge at the great white throne. For those not in Jesus, the dead are judged based upon their works written in the books. Whosoever was not found written in the book is cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death. On Tabernacles, the New Jerusalem comes down from God out of heaven, all explained in the secret door to understand Bible prophecy. 1 for 20, don't do that. 5 for 30, 10 for 55, or a case of 60 for $250 at prophecyclub.com. 1 for 20, 5 for 30, 10 for 55, prophecyclub.com. Gives you extras to give away to your friends.